position there. If he comes in, then perhaps Yang's move to Birmingham could be sanctioned as well. So safe to say there is still a lot of work for Celtic to do between now and 11 o'clock. It's not looking great at the moment, but still plenty of time.
OK, we're going to come back to you shortly, Gordon. Thank you.
Merce and Christian still alongside me here at the desk. Merce, you've been here for a few hours now, and a lot's happened since you've been sitting at the table. What have you made of the window so far? It's been an exciting deadline day, hasn't it? It has. It has. It's been very exciting. I'm not going to lie. I've sat on here a few times and nothing's happened. Yeah. You know what I mean? All I've done is eaten. No, it's been interesting. I think it's been very interesting to Christian as well. Not just you. Thanks, mate. I'll be off then. Joe, but no, I mean, like, I thought a very, very good insight. You know, we hear from the footballer and we hear things, but to hear from the outside, from right in the inside, what occurs and what goes on. You said a lot is happening and stuff is breaking all the time on deadline day. Let's get back to Bella.
It is indeed. Right, we've got some breaking news to bring you from Chelsea. Let's get to our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solokol, at Stamford Bridge. Kaveh.
Yes, I was telling you a few minutes ago that there'd been a breakthrough in talks for Nicholas Jackson to move from Chelsea to Bayern Munich, and my colleagues at Sky in Germany have just been speaking to Nicholas Jackson's agent, well, one of the agents who's brokering this deal. His name is Ali Barat, and this is what he's got to say. He says, yes, it's true, the deal was off yesterday evening. Since today, the clubs are negotiating again. We hope for a solution because Nicholas Jackson is ready for FC Bayern Munich. We are fighting until the end for this deal. So that corresponds with what we've been telling you. Initially, the two clubs had agreed a deal. There was a loan plus an option. But then Liam Delap was injured here on Saturday, and Chelsea said we cannot go ahead with a loan plus an option. We need Nicholas Jackson back. They phoned his representatives, they phoned Bayern Munich. They said Nicholas Jackson has to come back to Chelsea. He's a Chelsea player. Of course, he didn't want to do that. He's staying in Munich. He has been pushing and pushing for this deal to go through. Yesterday, we were telling you the only way this deal will go through is if Bayern Munich relent and instead of a loan plus an option, agree to a permanent deal or a loan plus an obligation. And this afternoon, there has been a breakthrough in talks, and I'm being told that Bayern Munich are now willing to consider that loan plus obligation element, which means Ali Barat and Nicholas Jackson are now really, really hopeful that he is going to get his dream move to Bayern Munich.
Thank you, Kaveh.
Woo-hoo-hoo. I saw your eyebrows raised for that one, Mersh. Just when you thought they were out, they pull you back in. Yeah,
to be fair, I'm amazed no one's coming for Nicholas Jackson.
Really?
I honestly, how Newcastle have not gone after him, I do not know. You know, they've gone and bought a lad from Germany who we don't. I don't know what's going to happen. I've never really seen him play. He's never played in the Premier League. Different game. You're buying someone, Nicholas Jackson. He's a handful. He's a handful. He made Palmer as good as Palmer made him, in my opinion. They worked as a pair. He made runs. He found him. He made space. Aston Villa don't look like scoring a goal for toffee. You know, there's deals to be done. I'm flabbergasted this lad has not gone anywhere. And in this day and age, if this was a few years back, they'd have gone get home and he'd have gone, I'm coming. Now they're going, I ain't coming back. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's the way it is, and it's changed. But I think he's a bit rough, but I'm shocked that he's not gone anywhere else. Don't get me wrong, he's got a lovely move to Bayern Munich, amazing club, but everybody wants to play in the Premier League.
Christian, take us behind the scenes of this one, because Chelsea said, we're not, the deal's off. Nicholas Jackson, come back home, back to Chelsea. You're still our player. And now he's not their player? Like, how, from behind the scenes, does this work from a Chelsea point of view?
Well, I think it's a really good example, and we're seeing it in almost every deal. And it's kind of Merce and myself. There's the business aspects of running these clubs, and there's the pure footballing matters. Right. From a business standpoint, it's quite clear that Chelsea plan to have that player leave to generate income, reduce wages, drive capital, all of the above. That's a business decision, which worked from a football standpoint until, pure football problem, bloke does a hamstring on Saturday, oh my God, we haven't got cover. So, you know, in my experience, the manager rings me and says, oh, Christian, for goodness sake, you've let Jackson go. you know, Liam's done his hammy. We need cover. Panic reaction. Call him, tell him he ain't going. That's what happened.
Right.
But then the cool heads kick in and say, yeah, but actually, we have budgeted for that reduction in our salary bill, or we've budgeted for that capital inflow. And my suspicion is in the last 24 hours, other people have got into that conversation. Are you sure? Leaving aside Paul's point, which is the player, absolutely he's gone.
Yeah.
You know, he's gone. He's there. He's on the plane. He does not think he's playing for Chelsea ever again. So my suspicion is, having looked at all of that, player wants to go. The finances say if we can resurrect this deal, so it seems they've now pulled in a football solution. Is it as good a solution as keeping Jackson? Probably not. But football's about compromise. They fix the football problem, get their financial objectives sorted, player goes, everybody's happy. That's how it looks to me. But it all happens in real time, and you have to be cool-headed as you look at those different priorities and ultimately come down one way or another.
It's a fine tightrope to walk, isn't it? Merce, we've got about 20 seconds. Tell us your best deal of the window so far, or maybe a potential deal of the window.
I would say Mark Guehi, for me. If they can get Mark Guehi, I think it just ticks every box for Liverpool. And as Christian said, they would be the team to catch.
Yeah, wow. What a team they're going to be if they get that deal over the line.
Yeah.
Paul Merson, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Christian, stay with us.
Thanks.
We're going to be speaking to you after the break.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bella.
Yeah, absolutely. This is deadline day. What a day.
Yeah.
Paul Merson, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Christian, stay with us.
Thanks.
We're going to be speaking to you after the break.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bella.
Yeah, absolutely. This is deadline day. What a day it's been so far. Remember, stay with us for all the latest twists and turns from all the clubs. 4 hours to go.
Yakult increases the bacteria in the gut. Little bottle, big difference.
Glenn's just used Confused.com and doesn't have the thought of car insurance weighing him down anymore.
Can't believe we're getting married.
You're not getting married.
Insurance feels better when you've just used.
Window we have ever seen. So here are the top stories so far. Alexander Isak has left Liverpool training ground to continue his medical ahead of a British record move to Anfield. While at Newcastle, exclusive pictures of Johan Wissa arriving for his medical ahead of completing a deal worth £55 million. Manchester United have agreed an £18.2 million deal plus add-ons with Royal Antwerp for 23-year-old goalkeeper Senna Lamens. Randall Colomuani is in London for his Tottenham medical ahead of joining on loan from Paris Saint-Germain. Harvey Elliott has been given permission to undergo a medical with Aston Villa. He is on his way to Birmingham. Manchester City are closing in on the signing of Italy goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma from Paris Saint-Germain. And Nicholas Jackson's move to Bayern Munich is back on. Bayern Munich are prepared to include an obligation to buy in the loan agreement.
Yeah, what a deadline day it's been so far. So much more to update you on as well. Forest, Fulham and Palace all have deals bubbling away under the surface, which will bring you. We've also got guests. Alan Pardew and Christian Purslow are alongside us to react to all that big news. We'll be chatting to them soon.
Yeah.
We've got loads going on. Let's get to breaking news immediately. This involves Wolves. Kirsty Edwards is there for us with news of a new signing. Kirsty, go for it.
Yeah, well, it's all about the strikers today because, first of all, of course, Jørgen Strand Larsen, as the club always said he would, is staying. And there's a new striker in town as well. Tolo Roccadore has signed in a 4-year deal with an extra 12-month option as well. On top of that, from Genk, he's 24 years old, a 6'6" Nigerian international, played in Latvia before the Bundesliga, before getting his move to Genk in 2023, had his best season yet last time around, getting 23 goals in all competitions, 21 in the league, and that got him the Golden Boot in the Belgium Pro League. And he will now play his football here at Molineux and hopes to add to that goal tally here as well. It does have a knock-on effect because it means that Wolves have too many non-homegrown players in their squad. That could mean Sasha Kalajdzic could be on his way out on a loan deal today. We'll keep an eye on that. And of course, Vitor Pereira also wanted to add a midfielder if he could to his squad. That may not happen today. If it doesn't, they will still look at free agents if they can, and they have shown some interest in former Burnley midfielder Josh Brownhill. But today, as I say, it's all about the strikers. Toro Arakadore, the new man in town here at Wolves, and let's see if he can get them some points on the board once this international break is over.
Thank you, Kirsty. Now let's get to the latest on Alexander Isak's move from Newcastle to Liverpool. The two clubs reached an agreement worth £125 million in the early hours of deadline day. So Isak is now in Liverpool to complete his medical before signing a 6-year contract. These are some shots from Liverpool's training ground from earlier today. Isak was inside the vehicle leaving. Elsewhere, Yoane Wissa has agreed a deal to join Newcastle. Keith Downey's been across this transfer saga for weeks and joins us now. Keith, when are we expecting everything to be tied up with this one? We've lost Keith's mic. OK.
Well,
Keith, can you start again? I know you've been really busy. It's been a long saga. We need you to start from the beginning.
I don't know how much of that you heard there, but yeah, I'll start again. It has been a saga, an absolute saga this summer. Of course, all surrounding the Alexander Isak situation, but of course that then is linked to the Yoane Wissa situation. There was always a feeling, and I think a hope from Newcastle's point of view, that they would get the deal done for Yoane Wissa. I don't think they quite thought they would have to spend as much as they're having to. Remember, the first bid for Yoane Wissa was £25 million around about 6 weeks ago. That then went up to 35 plus 5, a £40 million package, and they're now paying Brentford £50 million up front with a potential £5 million in add-on. So a £55 million package for a player who turns 29 this week, but obviously needs must. They've lost Isak to Liverpool, and Newcastle see Wissa as a player who can hit the ground running. 19 goals last season in the Premier League. He knows his way about, and they think he can get right and straight into the team straight away. So in terms of the deal, we know that he travelled up to the northeast. He drove up early this morning to make sure he was in situ once a deal was struck with Brentford. And he's having his medical right now. We had some exclusive pictures just around about an hour and a half ago of him arriving at a private hospital in the centre of Newcastle to undergo that medical, and of course Newcastle will try and push this one through before the deadline later on tonight. So look, they'll be happy they've got a striker in, and when you join him up with Nick Voltemade, who arrived on Friday, that's two players that in total cost £125 million, which of course is the exact fee that they've sold Alexander Isak to Liverpool for. So Newcastle getting in two players for the price of one. And as you rightly say, the Isak saga all but over, and the Wissa saga all but over. So we can all get on with our lives again.
Keith, thank you very much. Right, I've got some more breaking news to bring you. And Brighton attacking midfielder Facundo Buonanotte has joined Chelsea on a season-long loan. There is no option or obligation to buy. There was, of course, strong interest from other Premier League clubs, including Leeds. The Argentina international prefers to play in the number 10 position, has become the latest Brighton player to move to Chelsea. And we reported on Friday that Chelsea were close to completing that deal, where he has now joined Chelsea on a season-long loan.
Yeah, thanks, Bella. Let's get the thoughts now of Alan Pardew, who joins us alongside Christian Purslow. Alan, Newcastle, obviously one of your former clubs. My goodness me, what have you made of this absolute saga with Isak?
Well, I'm kind of astonished a little bit because I think Liverpool's kind of approach to this transfer window has been tough on other clubs. They're still obviously trying to get Guehi over the line as well, I understand. This transfer I was guessing might have been going away, but in the background, I think all along it's been done. And in Isak's mind, in his team's mind, this deal was done. I think in Eddie Howe's mind, it was done. Hence, Wissa was getting information that that deal was going to happen, hence their standoff. So when you add it all up, it all looked like it was done some time ago.
So why is it happening now, in the early hours of the morning on deadline day?
Well, I'm assuming that, you know, there's been some kind of dialogue to give us time to get strikers in, you know. Maybe the German coming, you know, was the trigger for some more talks. I just feel so sorry for Newcastle fans, really.
Really?
I do, because, you know, the two players they brought in are not at the level of Isak. They're just not. So, you know, in terms of what they've lost, it's a big blow.
But there's nothing you can do, is there? When a player wants to leave, you tell me, from your point of view, from, you know, all the clubs you've managed at, if a player is hell-bent on leaving, publicly declares they want to leave, doesn't want to play for the club, trains away from the first team, can you change their mind?
Well, you can't change their mind, but the reset takes a while. It happened with me at Newcastle. Johan Cabaye wanted to leave to go to Arsenal, and we didn't let it happen in that particular window. And it was like, I would say it took him about 2 or 3 weeks to get his mind back. The fans knew that he had kind of a protest going on. They bought back into him. So we were lucky in that respect.
So you were able to reintegrate him?
Yeah, we was. Whether you could have done that with the level that Isak went to, in terms of, you know, the upset that it caused Newcastle fans, I don't know. But the bottom line is, it weakens Newcastle's approach this year, and the whole window has been very, very difficult for Eddie Howe. I feel for him.
Do you?
Yeah, of course I do. Of course, there's nothing worse for a manager when you've got a disruption like that. All the other players, Christian, you know that sometimes the squad is a strange group. Some of them will be like, well, you know, if the player wants to go, you know, you shouldn't be standing in his way. So they won't all be against Isak, but at the same token, they're all thinking about their bonuses, the Champions League money, the success that might be coming their way going out the door. So it's like a split sometimes in the dressing room, which isn't helpful.
Christian, how difficult would this be for Eddie Howe, considering that there's no CEO in place and there's no sporting director in place? In modern-day football, at the top-level clubs, all of those clubs will have those people in place to help with situations like Alexander Isak. I wonder if Eddie Howe has ever been with a situation of this magnitude with this high-profile a player at this big of a club.
Well, I think Eddie would admit he hasn't. You know, this is a British record transfer, so nobody has. This is an enormous deal, and it has been unusual. The level of agitation from Isak to make this move happen has been on the extreme end. We've both seen players who want to leave, and sometimes, as Alan says, the manager in particular should be the ultimate gauge of that decision, and he'll balance those factors in the dressing room. May say to me, look, on balance, I think we should get him out. On occasion, they'll say, I think we should dig in, and I think we can reset. In this case, it does seem as though Eddie had no one around to shoulder that. And by the way, I think it's a very good question, and my key observation on that would be, this is always best dealt with between windows early. If you're having a player do this in the middle of a transfer window, post-season end, it's already too late. It's gone too far. And I suspect that some of the lack of stability behind the scenes at Newcastle in those key positions you refer to may have contributed to this situation just developing and not being gripped and controlled tightly right at the outset. I said earlier to you, it was no surprise to anyone in football anywhere that there would be interest in Isak. He's been that superb in the last 2 years in the Premier League. And when you employ a footballer who's by far the best player in the league, not at the big six, you know you're going to get bids. So they could have been ahead of it, and I suspect there was somewhat of a vacuum that has been exploited by the player, and yes, by Liverpool, who've just made it clear to the boy, we want you, we're here, when it's all ready, we'll come through, and that's what's happened today.
Perhaps unnecessary drama for Newcastle, but We've enjoyed it here, haven't we, on Sky Sports News on this deadline day. Let's break away from Christian and Alan for just a moment. We've got breaking news, Bella.
Yes, so I brought you that breaking news a moment ago from Chelsea that Facundo Buonanotte has joined on a season-long loan. Well, Kaveh Solokol, our chief correspondent, would go to Stamford Bridge now because I'm hearing that you've also got some more breaking news for us.
Yes, Tyreek George is on his way to Fulham from Chelsea. He's a 19-year-old winger who's been at Chelsea since he was 8 years old. I think he's been here for around 11 years, but he's moving to Fulham on a permanent deal subject to a medical. Interestingly, he came on as a substitute on Saturday here. He replaced Liam Delap when Liam Delap picked up that hamstring injury, but he himself was substituted in the second half. Fulham looking to sign 2 wingers. They're getting Kevin from Shakhtar Donetsk. They were linked with a move for Raheem Sterling. Instead, they've gone for Tyreek George, who will be moving to Fulham subject to a medical. Just some more information to bring you on that loan move from Facundo Buonanotte. Now, the reasoning behind that, of course, is that Chelsea are looking for an attacking midfielder, somebody who can play in the number 10 position. They missed out on Xavi Simons. They decided not to put a bid in for him. He ended up going to Spurs. They needed to find another number 10, especially because Cole Palmer is injured at the moment. And it's quite strange for them to agree to take a player from Brighton just on a straight loan. There's no option, there is no obligation. He was on loan at Leicester last season. So Brighton now sending their players to Chelsea for them to get more game time. I think he's a very, very promising player. This is going to be a big, big opportunity for him. But whatever happens, even if he plays really, really well for Chelsea this season, he's going to remain a Brighton player.
OK, Kaveh, thank you. Loads going on. We've still got 3 hours, 45 minutes left. OK, stay with us here on Deadline Day. We're going to get some updates from Manchester United and Aston Villa next.
That's very impressive, Angela.
Oh, my smart meter display. Oh, yes, thanks to my it rewards me when I move my energy use to off-peak times. That's when I do the laundry. I do the gardening off-peak too.
Oh, so it pays to be flexible, Angela.
It's not your loss.
There's been a spate of home invasions. Find this crew before turf war escalates.
Hi there, welcome back. Plenty of breaking news today, including some news about Chelsea's Nicholas Jackson. So his move to Bayern Munich was on, then off. Well, now it seems it is back on. Got some quotes for you from Jackson's agent, Ali Barat. This is what he told us. We are working and doing everything we can to get Nico the move he deserves. We are still here in Munich and won't leave until we have exhausted every possibility. We understand Chelsea's situation and hope they can find a resolution to enable Nico to make the move. He says everyone at Bayern has been so welcoming and understanding, and we thank them for their continued efforts and desire to sign Nico. Right, well, we'll bring you any updates on that, of course. But now, let's get to Aston Villa. There could be as many as 3 new arrivals there. Rob Jones is there for us with all the details. Rob, what have you got?
Afternoon, Bella. Yeah, I'll keep this brief because I know you've got plenty on, but as you said, 3 potential. Well, 1 confirmed new face, which is Victor Lindelof on a free transfer, which was signed, sealed and delivered a little bit earlier on. The interesting one of the 2 attackers, given that Villa have lost 4 of those since the end of last season. Rashford and Asensio returning from their loans. Leon Bailey heading out on loan and Jacob Ramsey joining Newcastle. So Harvey Elliott on his way down for a medical, a loan with an obligation to buy at £35 million from Liverpool after contributing for the champions last season, but not having as much game time as he'd have liked.
We're going to have to interrupt you there, Rob. I apologise. We will come back to you shortly. We've got to interrupt you with breaking news. Mark McAdam has been trumped up the pecking order because what's going on?
Huge breaking news. We spoke about this being the deadline day of all deadline days for Liverpool. They've had the most fabulous window. Before today, over £300 million had been spent by the football club. They got Alexander Isak in a deal worth 125. It's got even better for Liverpool fans because guess what? You've got a new centre-back. Deal agreed with Crystal Palace for the defender, Mark Guehi, the Crystal Palace captain. It's worth £35 million. He's now been given permission to undergo his medical for Liverpool, which is going to happen in London. But this, Bella, is a huge deal for Arne Slot, an incredible side that have started the season fantastically well. Suddenly, it's got even better. The targets were a striker and a centre back. Arne Slot has got his wishes, 2 brand new players and the Palace captain no less. Remarkable stuff.
Incredible. Thank you, Mark. Jess?
Wow, yeah, I really want to get the thoughts of Alan and Christian on this one. Christian, us journalists, we're not known for our hyperbole, not at all. But if Liverpool get this deal underlined, it's confirmed. They've brought in Wirtz, they've brought in Ekitike, they've brought in Isak. They've now got a defender in Guehi as well. Is that the title race over?
Well, I'm not in the predictions business, but it's an incredible statement of seriousness and intent. They are making hay while the sun is shining on them. They're champions. They've got a set of financial regulations that support their business fantastically well. And while their rivals are rebuilding or struggling or limited by the rules, they are filling their boots. And those of us who watched the game last night, I mean, what a signing Guehi is. I was highly amused when Mateta said you don't even do that in training when he strummed that one in from 30 yards. But it's a brilliant window for Liverpool and a frightening one for their rivals.
Yeah, Alan, he's a consistent performer. He's got a right foot on him as well, as we saw last night. What do you make of this? Is that a good deal?
Well, of course, it's a good deal. There's a few reasons for that. One, he's a particularly great leader. He's been the heartbeat of that Palace team. It's built around him. You can't get down the side of him. It's almost impossible to take him on for pace. He's quick, he's composed in possession. He's everything you want in a modern centre-back. And Liverpool, again, have done this move very, very late. And I'm sure, well, I know for a fact, Crystal Palace are angry about it. They
Why
assumed,
so?
Well, they assumed that this deal was a deal that wasn't going to be made. That the interest wasn't as concrete as it was meant to have. Could it have happened a week ago? No, they didn't want to. So they've hung on for this last moment. It leaves Crystal Palace in a difficult position, and it certainly leaves the owner and the manager in a difficult position because the manager last night, Oliver, was very, that he needs to stay. So, it puts a lot of pressure on that relationship and on the relationship with Crystal Palace fans. So I think Crystal Palace fans of Newcastle could be rightly upset with Liverpool's actions in this window. I really do.
They run the risk, though, Palace and Steve Parish, the chairman, of losing Mark Guehi for free next summer.
Yeah, I mean, it's we talked earlier. There is the business and the football aspects, and the job of someone like Steve. Steve's sitting in the middle of that. Steve's got investors in that football club who will be saying 40 million in 12 months is zero. And he's got a manager who's perhaps been more explicit than any manager I can remember in recent times in basically saying, I want you to keep this player. Yeah. If we have to run down the contract, we run down the contract. Maybe between now and January, we have another crack at re-signing the player, maybe putting a clause in. But the manager was very explicit, and Steve's right in the middle of that. It's finely balanced. £40 million will not seem a lot of money if it turns Palace from competing for Europe to being mid-table or 5 places in the Premier League. So I think it's very finely balanced, and Liverpool are the winners, and I don't think many Palace fans will feel like they're the winners today.
Yeah, and also you've got to remember that the player must have had a view, and his view must have been to go, which he's probably going to express when he arrives at Liverpool. So that, probably made up the mind for Steve Parish that was the only deal really left for him to do.
Steve was explicit, wasn't he, a few weeks ago, that we cannot run the risk of 40 becoming zero. Mark must have said, I will not extend my contract between now and Christmas, meaning there'll be no value in January, and it boiled down to that hard and fast financial situation. But I think, Alan, I'm sure you agree with me, we should contrast Guehi's behaviour to Alex Isak's behaviour, because right up to the last minute last night, he is totally committed to helping.
And that
Palace are now in.
And that has been noted. Christian, I know you're about to get into. Come back, we're going to take a short break. Mark Guehi has been given permission to have his medical with Liverpool, £35 million deal. Stay with us here on Deadline Day.
Get the new 10 Pro on EE, because powerful AI deserves the UK's best network.
Hey, Gemini, help me organise my living room.
Got it. Let's get that sofa moved. Turn it around and place it on the other side of the room, against the wall. Try mixing books with photos on the shelf to make it feel like home.
Talk to Gemini about anything you see. Power
Is this the best deadline day that we've ever had here on Sky Sports News? Quite possibly. The major breaking news in the last 15 minutes. Liverpool have agreed a deal with Crystal Palace for the defender Mark Guehi. Mark McAdam has been breaking stories left, right and centre this whole transfer window. He's with me now alongside Alan and Christian. Mark, how has this gone down? We thought it was off.
Yeah, it's been one of those stories that we've been talking about for the last 3 or 4 weeks or so, and every single day there's a different position from either football club. It looks like he's staying, and then it looks like he's going to head to Liverpool. The conversations continued in the background, and of course Mark Guehi has been, you know, the absolute perfect professional over the course of this last week or so. While there's been so much speculation about his future, he's continued as captain of Crystal Palace and continued to put in top-class performances in crucial games for them. But now, finally, there is an agreement in place between Crystal Palace and Liverpool, which we understand to be £35 million. Okay. He's been given permission to go through the formalities of the medical, which is going to happen in London, and finalise the deal.
Just talk us through that medical. 3.5 hours long or something, is that right? Well, is that our understanding?
Yeah, the fact that he played 90 minutes plus last night would suggest to that Liverpool medical team...
He said after the match, I'm absolutely exhausted. They've had so many matches this month, haven't they?
Any concerns about his body, I don't think there is going to be, because he's already played so many games over the course of the last few weeks, and 90-plus minutes as well. So he'll go through the formalities of the medical. They'll get all the agreements sorted between the clubs, the lawyers. The personal terms would have already been agreed before they got to this point between his representatives and Liverpool, and really now it's just a case of signing the paperwork and bringing the formalities together. Of course, Crystal Palace would only sanction a possible deal when they had got what they believed to be top-class replacements sorted up, lined up and ready to go. The fact that the two clubs have now agreed the deal would suggest Crystal Palace are in a comfortable position to say, OK, we're happy to let our captain go. He had 1 year left on his contract, and that was clearly a massive factor. This time last year, Newcastle were trying to pay him for around £65 million. He's now going to Liverpool for 35.
And I have to stop you there, Mark, because we've got more breaking news on this transfer deadline day. Let's go to our correspondent, Kaveh Solikal, who's at Chelsea. What have you got, Kaveh?
Yes, Nicholas Jackson is going to become a Bayern Munich player. The deal has now been agreed between Chelsea and Bayern Munich, and very importantly, Chelsea get exactly what they want, which is an obligation for Bayern Munich for them to sign Nicholas Jackson next summer when his loan runs out. Now, I will tell you that the loan fee has gone up from €15 million to €16.5 million, and the obligation is €65 million.
Kaveh, thank you for the latest. You sounded like a robot, but we got the details there, I think. Basically, in essence, we're saying this deal between Bayern Munich and Nicholas Jackson is very much on. He will be a Bayern Munich player. He went out to Germany, didn't he, to have his medical. Chelsea called him back after that injury to Liam Delap. But the deal is now very much on and on its way to being completed. Mark, what a transfer deadline day this is. This is absolutely bonkers.
This is extraordinary. It'll probably go down as one of the greatest deadline days we've ever seen.
Honestly.
This is my 32nd at Sky Sports News now, so I've seen a few over the years.
You're only 21, that's amazing.
33.
So it's quite remarkable. But what we've seen is big players moving. The money has been bigger than ever before. You know, average players now seem to be going for between 50 and 70 million. You know, blockbuster players are over £100 million.
Silly money.
And clubs are just getting the business done because there is so much at stake. We know that the new format of the Champions League can be worth around 80 million as a minimum for those sides. Huge money involved there. Commercial packages. You've seen Liverpool win the Premier League, and the bonuses and add-ons for all of their commercial deals, because they're Premier League champions, go up as well. So it enables them to spend. And when you're well run, when you're clever, when you're astute, when you generate a lot of money like Chelsea have done, like Liverpool have done with player sales, you can recycle it in the right way, and that's what some of the best clubs are doing.
But we are having a problem, and this window is reflecting it, and that is that the top 5-6 clubs with the PSR rules are getting further and further away. Aston Villa, who are trying to get into that group, are having massive issues. Crystal Palace have found out by winning the FA Cup means that your best players are going to get stolen off you, taken off you. Newcastle are trying to break into that group. So it's really, really becoming a massive problem that the Premier League at some point and the ownerships are going to have to look at.
From an executive point of view, Christian, how do the clubs break in then?
Well, I think you need to see some alleviation in the rules. I think the rules, I think, Mark, you make such a good point. The step up in income now from the main European competition means the reward for qualifying is now probably 2 or 3 times what it was 10 years ago. And the same clubs doing so, recycling that into their wage bill, is giving an inbuilt advantage. So I think there's going to be more and more pressure to liberalise those financial rules, because it's become clearer and clearer to mainstream football fans who may be fans of Big Six clubs, still thinking there's something wrong when teams like Newcastle and Villa are being forced to sell players. And one other point on rules. All of us could agree today, why is it we have to have rules that encourage us to sell homegrown talent? Let's just make academy...
That's the biggest issue.
Let's make academy players non-deductible for FFP. If you're carrying a homegrown player, his salary isn't for FFP. It would change the behaviour overnight. Clubs would keep those players. And
it would also stop this trading of young players between the Big Six as well.
I don't think any football fan likes it.
Crazy.
Just an update, another transfer update for you guys, because we've been speaking about Crystal Palace and the fact that Oliver Glasner did not want to let Guehi go at this late point. Well, news of a possible incoming. Crystal Palace, we're hearing, are looking to finalise a loan move for Manor Solomon to join from Tottenham. Now, Solomon has turned down a number of opportunities already this summer, but one source has told Sky Sports News that they are very confident that that deal will be confirmed. If it is confirmed, they've got less than 4 hours to get it over the line. So Crystal Palace perhaps losing one of their key players, their captain, but possibly bringing in winger Manor Solomon from Tottenham. We'll give you more on that as we have it, because it's been a breathless deadline day so far. But it's not just a big day here in football on Sky Sports News. Jamie Weir will tell you of a big day in golf as well.
Thank you very much, Jess. A momentary respite from a very busy deadline day. It's also been deadline day for this man alongside me here, European Ryder Cup captain Luke Donald, because he has named his 6 picks to complete the European side, heading to New York later this month. Thank you for joining us, Luke.
Thank you.
Let's have a look at those 6 men, and 6 very familiar faces, because they were all part of that team 2 years ago in Rome. John Ram, Shane Lowry, Sepp Straka, Victor Hovland, Matt Fitzpatrick and Ludwig Oberg. How nice to be able to call upon guys that you already know, or that you've already captained to victory.
Yeah, no idea how their football games are, but I know they're tremendous golfers, some of the best in the world. Yeah, it's great to have so much continuity, obviously, from Rome. These guys stepped up. They're the best players in the world, and really happy to have them back on our team for what's going to be an amazing Ryder Cup at Bethpage.
We can have a look at the team photo from Rome a couple of years ago, I think, just now. And the good news is you don't even need to bother with a new team photo this time, because it's exactly the same photo.
Yeah, the clothes might look a little different this time,
exactly.
But yeah, we'll add a little bit more hair to Nikolai.
That's right.
It's pretty similar, but yeah, this doesn't happen very often. It really doesn't happen. Yeah. You know, these were 11 of the top 12 were on the Ryder Cup points list, so they've certainly earned their spot on this team. And as I said, really excited to get going again and be their captain.
As you said, I think that the fewest changes from one Ryder Cup team to the next on either side has been 3 in history. There's obviously only 1 change this time, 1 twin for another. It's testament really to how these guys have kept their games at such a consistent level for the last 2 years since Rome.
It is. You know, I think hopefully for a lot of these guys that was very inspirational. We created some amazing memories that week, and you know, once you play in a Ryder Cup, you never want to miss another. Obviously, It doesn't always happen that way, that you'd have such continuity. But yeah, I think we'll definitely be talking about some of those shared memories that we had in Rome and trying to feed off those.
Just to talk about a couple of the guys who you've picked today, I want to start with Shane Lowry. Started the season so well. It seemed he was contending every week. Form has sort of tailed off a little bit. But Shane, when he pulls on that blue jumper, is a different beast, isn't he?
He is. You know, he obviously missed out by qualifying automatically by 4 points. Finished top 15 in the FedEx Cup. You know, I think his credentials speak for themselves. But as you said, he brings so much energy and passion to that team. You know, as a team, you want those individuals that put the team first, and Shane does that as well as anyone.
John Ram obviously had fewer events to try to qualify than everybody else, and he was the only one of those 11. Sorry, he was the only one that wasn't in the top 11, if you know what I mean. John Ram, you know, you're talking about generational talent here, and someone who's been the backbone of the last 3 European teams.
Yeah, statistically one of our strongest players every time. You know, he's a consistent machine. I mean, a ball striking machine, and again, he brings a quality to that team. You know, of respect and what he's done in the game. Two-time major champion, and came close this year in a couple majors, the PGA Championship, US Open. So one of the ultimately one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, and Matt Fitzpatrick to some people was maybe sort of the one question mark of who might make this team compared to the Rome team, but he's almost had the inverse of Shane's season. He, by his own admission, really struggled at the start of the year. Then something, and his form in the last few weeks has been great.
Yeah, another guy that, you know, came close in a couple majors. The PGA Championship, he was right there, fourth at the Open Championship. Yeah. He's had, I think, 6 top 10s in his last 8 starts. So statistically, again, one of our stronger players in the last 3 months. And you always want to see form. So he's definitely our form horse, and deserved that pick.
Just how much of a feather in Europe's cap is it that there is such continuity, that you are able to, especially for an away Ryder Cup, be able to just have a team that knows each other so well, knows their roles so well?
I think it's important. It's a lot of continuity, a lot of shared experiences, but this is a different challenge, you know, and we're looking at it differently. You know, winning away in America is difficult, so that's been my task, you know, the last 20 months, to figure out the best opportunity, give these guys the best chance, and so a lot of thought has been going into that. It won't be the same as Rome. It'll be different, and so it requires different strategies, but we're looking forward to it.
And just very finally, in that regard, how different do you feel this time going into this one? Last time you didn't really know what to expect. You now have under your belt the experience of being a winning captain. How differently is Luke Donald approaching this one?
I approach it the same way, you know, trying to give our team the best opportunity for success. I won't take anything for granted. I know how strong the US will be. Again, I've been trying to think of different ways to make sure that we are prepared. We've lost 3 of the last 4 away Ryder Cups by significant margins. So we understand the challenge ahead of us, but yeah, super excited again to have these guys on our team battling for Europe. They understand what that crest means.
Yeah, it looks like a very strong team. I cannot wait. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Luke. Not long to wait now. 26th of September, it all gets underway, the Ryder Cup at Bethpage. Bound to be a bear pit of an atmosphere in New York. Luke Donald aiming to become the first man to captain a away side to victory in the Ryder Cup since Medina back in 2012. And you can see it all unfold on Sky Sports Golf.
Yep, you guessed it. Yet more breaking news for you here on this deadline day. It involves Leeds. Now, they are in talks with Fulham over the signing of Harry Wilson, Daniel Farke's side, trying to bring in another forward before the deadline. They've got less than 4 hours to go now. They were in for Brighton's Buonanotte on loan. Hours left before the deadline, but we know that they are in talks with Fulham over the signing of Harry Wilson. OK, from Leeds, let's get to Chelsea. Back to our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solikul. He's there and has been covering them all window long. You've got an update for us.
Yes, just some more details on Nicholas Jackson's move from Chelsea to Bayern Munich, which was on, off, on, off, on, off, definitely on now because a deal has been agreed. And I can give you the details of the deal. Crucially, it is a loan plus an obligation. Remember, a couple of days ago, Chelsea agreed a loan plus an option with Bayern Munich. But then here on Saturday, Liam Delap pulled his hamstring. Chelsea got in touch with Bayern Munich and said the deal is off. We're not going to let you have him on a loan plus an option. If you want him, you have to put the money on the table. It has to be a permanent deal or a loan plus an obligation. It's happened this afternoon is that Bayern Munich have agreed to a loan plus an obligation. And these are the figures. Bayern Munich will be paying a loan fee of 16.5 million euros. That has gone up by about 1.5 million euros. The option, which is now an obligation, is 65 million euros. If you add it all up, this is a deal that is potentially worth 81.5 million euros to Chelsea. In pounds, that is around 70 million pounds, which matches exactly Chelsea's valuation. So Nicholas Jackson is a Bayern Munich player. In the end, he got the move that he wanted. I think Chelsea played poker with Bayern Munich. They weren't bluffing when they said, if you believe in Nicholas Jackson, put the money on the table. This has to be permanent or a loan plus an obligation. And Chelsea have got that loan plus an obligation.
Harvey, thank you.
Oh, it's been a busy one. Still 3 hours and 14 minutes to go. We are going to bring you updates from Manchester United and Manchester City next. Stay with us here on Deadline Day.
Take your everyday and make it extraordinary. Lexus LBX.
Internet with me, Ian Sterling, starts tonight at 9 on Comedy Central.
Hi there, welcome back. Going to start straight away with some breaking news. It's an outgoing at Fulham. Martial Godot set to join Strasbourg in a permanent deal. Now, this deal is understood to be worth in the region of £6 million. Coventry had been interested in the winger. So where will they turn? Well, let's get to Dave Reed, who's got some breaking news from the Championship.
Yeah, in the last few moments, Leicester have confirmed the signing of the Feyenoord forward Julian Carranza. The 25-year-old Argentinian is joining on a season-long loan with an option to buy. Also at Leicester today, they've turned down several bids from Real Betis for Patson Daka. The club want to keep the striker. That's despite the signing of Carranza as well. It's thought they want at least £10 million to be interested in selling Daka. He's got a year left on his current contract. None of the bids from Betis have come close. And a reminder of the breaking news from Wrexham. They've taken their summer spending to near the £30 million mark after announcing the signing of Coventry captain Ben Sheaf. He's joining in a deal worth £6.5 million and has signed a 3-year contract with an option of a further year. Wrexham not done yet this deadline day either. They're close to completing a loan move for Manchester City right-back Isak and also got a bit of breaking news for Portsmouth fans. They're advancing in a loan move with Ipswich for Connor Chaplin. So that's just reaching us.
Yeah, more breaking news for you. It involves Arsenal, who have already been one of the biggest net spenders during this transfer window. Let me tell you about this. Piero Hincapié finalising his move to the Gunners from Bayer Leverkusen. Now, it's understood that he's had a medical and he's agreed terms. So the deal itself is a loan with an option to buy. The total fee, if the option is triggered, is worth £45 million. Now, Hincapié's move will allow Jakub Kiwior to formally complete his transfer to Porto over in Portugal. That deal is a loan with an obligation to buy. That's worth £24 million. Now, how about Alexander Zinchenko? Well, we knew that there was a potential move to Marseille, didn't we, over in Ligue 1, but that is looking increasingly unlikely. Initial talks were held between the clubs, but that is looking increasingly unlikely. So to recap, Hincapié finalising his move to Arsenal. That will allow Kiwior to complete his move to Porto. Zinchenko's move, though, to Marseille looking increasingly unlikely. Whew.
Did you get all that? Right, 3 hours to go. Will Manchester City get Gianluigi Donnarumma in time? Let's check in with Sani Rudravajula. What have you got for us, Sani?
Well, yeah, this deal for Gianluigi Donnarumma, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And remember, in his exploits in the Champions League last season, we were marvelling at just how good he was. Deemed surplus to requirements at PSG, and we know City are in talks to bring him here. Not yet gone through yet, though, and we believe there's a bit of a distance between Donnarumma and City to be sorted, but we know that a framework for a deal has been agreed in principle, so there's still some moving parts there. Still only 26 years old. When or if he were to come, then Ederson at that point would also be allowed to go after his 8 seasons here at City, and we know Fenerbahce is a likely option for him, and that would leave question marks too over number 1 spot between Donnarumma and James Trafford, but that's still working on that one. We also know that Manuel Akanji, who was so pivotal to City, particularly in that treble season after 3 seasons here, the City are in talks with Inter Milan for him to potentially leave as well. And as we just heard from David Reed as well, finally, Isak Burkina Faso international, who's had loan spells at Werder Bremen and Luton Town actually in the Premier League, is on his way, we know, to Wrexham from City as well. So some players coming out and Donnarumma maybe coming in.
Great stuff, Sani. Right, so Manchester City might be getting a keeper. Manchester United wanted a keeper. It looks like they're getting one. Dan Khan, what can you tell us?
Yes, thank you, Bella. Here we go, the last few hours of deadline day to go. And as we've understood all day as Sky Sports News, Sene Lammens looks like he could be the newest addition here at Manchester United. Fee agreed for just over £18 million. We understand he is having his medical this afternoon at Carrington. And look, it's been a very important deadline day for United, not just in terms of that potential incoming, but also outgoings when you consider the likes of Jadon Sancho, very close to agreeing to go to Aston Villa on loan. No option to buy or obligation to buy, but a good loan in terms of getting his wages off the wage bill. The same with the likes of Rasmus Højlund and Anthony too. So what I would say, Bella, is it's been a really positive day for United. A bit more low-key, but I think I've probably completed Sky Sports News bingo in terms of all of those phrases in a very short space of time. All good here, no issues with the deal sheet, as I understand it, for Lamans going to the final hours of the window.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Dan. Right, it has been a busy day. Alexander Isak, and Wissa both having medicals as we speak. We'll bring you the latest on that. But the big story this hour is that Guehi has agreed a deal for him to go to Liverpool. The Crystal Palace captain will also be having his medical. They have agreed permission for him to do so, so that will be done in London. Elsewhere, Nicholas Jackson, is he going to go to Bayern Munich? It looks like that is back on. Plenty more coming, and we're going to get an update from Scotland as well. 11 o'clock deadline there, but
That's a good ball. Of course it's Kerr!
Guehi. Oh! That is outstanding! And if that is a leaving present from Mark Guehi to Crystal Palace, it is one memorable one.
Could that be Mark Guehi's spectacular parting gift? Less than 24 hours after that strike, Crystal Palace have agreed a £35 million deal with official confirmation of Alexander Isak's British record move to Liverpool. He left their training ground to continue his medical ahead of that £125 million move to Anfield. Johan Wissa is having his medical in Newcastle ahead of completing a deal worth £55 million. Bayern Munich have agreed to sign Nicolas Jackson on loan with an obligation to buy in a deal which could net Chelsea £70 million. And Bayer Leverkusen defender Piero Hincapié has completed his medical ahead of a move to Arsenal.
And yet more breaking news, the dominoes really beginning to fall into place after that British record fee for Alexander Isak. He moves to Liverpool. Brentford lose Wissa to Newcastle, but Brentford now, not resting on their laurels, they're looking for a replacement, Reiss Nelson. He is having a medical at the club right now. They have agreed a loan plus an option to buy with Arsenal, who have given him permission to proceed with the move. Reiss Nelson having a medical at Brentford looks like a replacement for Johan Wissa incoming.
Now, what a day it's turning out to be for Liverpool. They're on the verge of breaking that British record fee for Alexander Isak. They're also about to sign a defender. Vinny O'Connor has been following every twist and turn for us. Vinny, let's start with Mark Guehi then. Major developments in the last hour, to put it mildly.
That's right, Liverpool on the verge of spending £160 million on transfer deadline day because it looks like they are going to get Mark Guehi. He has been given permission to undergo a medical. That medical is taking place down in London. Liverpool, of course, do have club offices down in London as well. They arranged that, so they gave them every possible opportunity to get this deal over the line in time for that 7 o'clock deadline. Of course, it may need a deal sheet given how close it is to that deadline, but at the same time, what has been agreed is a fee of £35 million with Crystal Palace for the signing of Mark Guehi. And as I say, that medical due to take place down in London this afternoon. We also thought that the possible arrival of Mark Guehi would mean that Joe Gomez would be leaving the club. There was obviously an offer on the table from AC Milan. We also understand that Brighton made an inquiry about Joe Gomez as well. But at the moment, it seems that Joe Gomez is very much going to remain a Liverpool player. We are not expecting him to leave before the transfer deadline. That would be good news, I think, to everyone associated with the football club, because Joe Gomez is a very popular player around here. He can obviously cover at centre-half, can cover at both full-back positions, can also cover in midfield as well. And when we spoke to Virgil van Dijk yesterday, he said that he wanted Joe Gomez to stay. It looks like the captain is going to get his wish and Joe Gomez is going to remain a Liverpool player, while Mark Guehi is going to become a Liverpool player.
Well, yeah, it's all going on. We saw Alexander Isak there at the training ground earlier, about 3 hours to get the medical done. Everything on track there?
It seems to be. We are expecting Alexander Isak back in the not-too-distant future. He did leave around about 1:15 to continue that medical off-site. He has been here, but there's nothing really to discuss as regards personal terms, because we already knew that Alexander Isak had agreed a 6-year deal. That is to complete a £125 million move from Newcastle United. Of course, it will be a British transfer record, £10 million more than the £115 million that Chelsea paid for Moises Caicedo to Brighton back in 2023. And it seems as well that the fact that Liverpool are getting in an attacking reinforcement allows Harvey Elliott to leave the club as well. We know that it is pending now his possible transfer to Aston Villa. Initially, it seems on loan with an obligation to buy. But Alexander Isak very much going to become a Liverpool player before that deadline in a £125 million move.
Great stuff, Vinny. Thank you. Well, Newcastle have wasted no time in reinvesting that Isak money, have they? Keith Downey's got the latest from St James's Park. Keith, good to see you again. You brought those exclusive pictures of Yohan Wissa's medical. How soon might we get an announcement that everything's done?
Yeah, you say there that Newcastle haven't wasted their time to spend the money, but this Wissa saga feels like it's been dragging on forever, and it's gone right down until the final knockings of the summer transfer window. That's right, he's on Tyneside, undergoing his medical right now at a city centre hospital. That is still ongoing. He will be due here at the stadium later on this evening. I don't think we'll get confirmation of this deal, I would suspect, until after the deadline. I don't think it's going to be certainly announced in the next hour or two. But look, Newcastle working really hard behind the scenes and quickly to get this deal done. Big money, isn't it? £50 million up front with a further £5 million in add-ons. Remember, this is a player Newcastle had two previous bids for this summer, both of them knocked back by Brentford. The first starting point was a bid of £25 million, so the eventual deal more than double Newcastle's opening bid. But I think just shows exactly how important it was for Newcastle to bring in another striker. Losing Isak left them very short in that department, but the two new signings in the last few days, Nick Waltemada and then Yohan Wissa today, certainly makes them look a lot stronger in the striking department. So busy day here on Tyneside with Alexander Isak, of course, leaving and essentially being replaced, one out and one in the shape of Yohan Wissa, who, as I say, is undergoing his medical right now at Newcastle, hoping to confirm that one later on today.
Thanks, Keith. So Guehi looks to be heading to Anfield. Where does that leave Crystal Palace? Let's cross to James Savundra. James, good to see you. Oliver Glasner was adamant that Guehi was going nowhere. So where are we then in terms of potential replacements?
Hi there, Bella. Crystal Palace are working so hard to bring in replacements. They've been trying to identify the right player or players to replace Mark Guehi if and when he did depart the football club. It looks like they have sanctioned his exit, and so what they need to do now is bring in replacements. They're working on a number of different deals right now. In terms of ones that are very close, JD Canvo from Toulouse, I'm expecting that to be wrapped up in the next few hours. He's been having a deal worth around £20 million to bring him to the football club. He's just 19 years of age, so he's not the Premier League ready replacement for Mark Guehi. At the same time, there was a medical earlier today for Igor Julio from Brighton. He's set to complete a loan move from Brighton until the end of the season. West Ham had been considering coming in and trying to take him at the last minute. We wait to see if Palace get that deal done on right now. It's the player that Oliver Glasner wants. It's the player that Oliver Glasner thinks could potentially be the ready-made replacement for Mark Guehi. It's Strahinja Pavlovic at AC Milan. Now, my understanding a couple of hours ago is that talks weren't progressing, but the fact that they've let Mark Guehi depart makes me think that this deal could be one that they make happen. It's going to be a very difficult deal to do, but in terms of finances, it seemed very difficult for them to get Pavlovic and keep Mark Guehi and risk Mark Guehi departing as a free agent next summer. So what's this space with that? I'm not sure whether or not Oliver Glasner would be pleased to go into the remainder of this season with no Mark Guehi, but JD Canvo and Igor Julio as the two players to replace him. So that's definitely one to watch. In terms of the attacking areas of the pitch, Crystal Palace working very hard as well. We know they want to find replacements for Abira Eze. They brought in Yeremy Pino last week, but it looks like they're going to try and sign Mala Solomon from Tottenham on loan. He's very confident he'll become a Crystal Palace player. And Kristantos Uche, he's been having medical at Crystal Palace as well today. So plenty in terms of incomings, which they're going to need to try and, I guess, balance out the outgoing of their club captain, Mark Guehi.
Thank you, James. We've had lots of updates from Chelsea today, haven't we? Our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solokol, is at Stamford Bridge. Kaveh, let's start with Nicholas Jackson. It's been on, off. It seems like it's back on again, him going to Bayern Munich. What can you tell us is the latest on that?
Well, look, the moral of the story is if at first you don't succeed, try and try again, because that is exactly what Nicholas Jackson's representatives have done, that is what Bayern Munich have done, and that is what Chelsea have done, and a deal has finally been agreed. These are the details of the deal. Bayern Munich are going to pay a loan fee of £14 million. That is about £1 million more than they agreed to pay just 2 days ago. They also now have an obligation to sign Nicholas Jackson next summer for £56 million. I don't have the details of that obligation yet. I don't know if it's him making a certain number of appearances. I'm trying to get that information for you. So the total package is worth £70 million to Chelsea. And guess what? That is exactly the valuation they had put on Nicholas Jackson. Now, this agreement is subject to the Chelsea board approving it, and also it's subject to all the documents being completed in time. But I think that is going to be a formality, and Nicholas Jackson is going to get the move he wanted.
And then what about this loan addition from Brighton in Facundo Buonanotte? There's no option to buy here, so this does seem a little bit odd if you look at it on paper. Tell us about this deal.
I mean, yeah, it does look strange on paper. Big club like Chelsea, who are in the Champions League, taking a player on loan from Brighton with no option, no obligation. Now, Facundo Buonanotte is a very good player. He spent last season on loan at Leicester. Leeds United were very close to signing him on loan a few days ago, but at the last minute, Chelsea entered the picture, and the reason they did that is because they decided not to proceed with a move for Xavi Simons. Now, they'd been very interested in signing Simons all summer, but when push came to shove, they decided not to make an official bid for the player. That meant the player ended up going to Tottenham Hotspur. Now, that left Chelsea with a problem because they still wanted another attacking midfielder, somebody who could play as a number 10, especially because Cole Palmer is out injured at the moment. And they looked at their options, and there are very good links between Chelsea and Brighton. Lots of people who've worked at Brighton have moved to Chelsea. Lots of Brighton players have moved to Chelsea as well. And they looked at their options and they thought, this is the one. This is the one that makes sense for us. It's a loan, no option, no obligation. Let's take the player. And that's exactly what they've done.
OK, thank you, Carve. Let's go from West London then to North London. Arsenal have been so busy all window. They're on the brink of another edition. James Green is there for us. James, let's start with Piero Hincapie's move to the Emirates. How close is this one?
Yeah, good afternoon. This is very close now. At the start of the day, Arsenal were hopeful to get this deal completed before the 7 p.m. deadline. The player has undergone his medical. He's completed his medical. The deal is signed. It is agreed that he will become an Arsenal player on loan for the season with an option to buy in a permanent deal come the end of the season. He will become Arsenal's 8th and final incoming of a very busy transfer window. He completes the puzzle for Mikel Arteta, who wants competition for every single place in his team, and this one is edging closer to being completed. We are literally now just waiting for official confirmation from Arsenal that Hincapie is joining on a season-long loan.
And then what about departures, James?
Yeah, departures was always going to be busy for Arsenal today. Now, with Hincapie coming in, that gives a green light for Jakub Kiwior to join Porto. So he's on the verge of joining Porto on a season-long loan with an obligation to buy at the end of the season. Reece Nelson undergoing a medical currently with Brentford ahead of a season-long loan with an option to buy at the end of the season. Then we go over to Germany, where Sambi Lokonga is due to be joining Hamburg on a permanent deal. He's going to be joined at Hamburg by his Arsenal teammate Fabio Vieira, who's been having a medical over there before a loan move with an option to buy at the end of the season. And the other name to mention is Alexander Zinchenko. Arsenal have been in talks with Marseille over a permanent deal. That is looking quite unlikely at this stage to get done before the 7 p.m. deadline. Now, there is interest in a player from Turkey, and their window is open for another 10 days. So still a possibility he could leave before that window, but leaving today looks quite unlikely. But we still await for all these deals to be confirmed and go through. But I expect in the next 2 or 3 hours, Arsenal could be quite busy with some announcements coming your way.
OK, we'll catch up with you later, James. Thank you.
Yep, it's still all happening here on deadline day. We've got Mark McAdam with us, so you know what that means. Breaking news from Bournemouth. Mark, this is possibly my favourite transfer so far, because Bournemouth have managed to do the impossible in the modern footballing era. What have they done?
You can't keep a secret in football when it comes to transfers. Bournemouth can, and that's exactly what they've done. This is remarkable stuff, because internally at the football club, they've said, can we try and sign a player during the summer of 2025 with no one on social media talking about it, no one saying about it? Can anyone ruin our announcement? That's what they've tried to do. And guess what? Simon Francis, Thiago Pinto, Neil Blake and everyone at AFC Bournemouth, I take my hat off to you. I bow down to you, because you have done the impossible when it comes to
deadline day.
When you have teas, progress is getting somewhere, even when it feels like you're going nowhere. The Libre 2 Plus sensor continuously tracks your glucose, so you can see the impact of the steps you take. This is progress. Search Freestyle Libre.
Now it's
You'll see things differently now it's free to sell on eBay. Don't even think about it. eBay. Things people love.
Over 100 million horses, donkeys and mules work hard to provide for their families every day. Heavy loads with nowhere to rest for food or water. Their exhausted bodies are breaking, and so are their hearts. Desta's family are doing their best to care for Mary, but it's hard without trained farriers or vets, or enough food and water. Give £2 a month now, and you can help train owners to make well-fitting harnesses, train local farriers to heal painful hooves, build shell food and water. Vitally, you'll help create bonds that heal broken hearts and are passed to future generations. So call 0800 008 6273, text or go online now to give £2 a month.
Vista Health means fast access to scans. Vista Health means rapid results. Vista Health means convenient locations. Vista Health means affordable pricing. At Vista Health, we know what your health means to you, and that's why we provide fast access to MRI, ultrasound, echocardiogram and other health scans. Need for a referral or medical insurance. Get the answers you need. Book your scan today at vistahealth.co.uk.
Fast and reliable with speeds up to 900 megabits. Oh, and award-winning too. So you can really Plus, call or visit plus.net to switch to us today. Offer ends 10th of September.
Shredded wheat is grain wheat. Simple. Rudy invents this. Stick to the simple stuff. Shredded wheat. It simply does it.
Jump! What?
The WSL season kicks off with a banger. Champions Chelsea v Man City this Friday, live on Sky Sports.
My name is Ned Sampson. I'm so happy to be finally here as new editor-in-chief. Remember the 5 W's. Is that a game? It's who, what, when, where, why. So not a game. Future of journalism meet present of journalism.
You do not need to be intimidated by us. No question is too stupid.
Do you think an over-reliance on anonymous sources damages public trust?
Who wants to take this one? I feel like I'm monopolizing the conversation.
More breaking news to bring you this deadline day. Alexander Isak has now arrived back at the Liverpool training ground as he looks to complete his British record transfer to the club. OK, so these pictures just reaching us now. He had been at the facility earlier, hadn't he, and then left to continue his medical. Well, he is now back. We are following every step. More when we have it.
Yeah, Alan Pardew and Christian Persolo still alongside me. We've got just over 2.5 hours still to go, Christian. This still hasn't been confirmed. Do the fans actually have anything to worry about? We're getting close to this deadline, aren't we?
I'd be very surprised. I think, I guess you're referring to the Isak deal, yes?
Yes.
I can't see any issues there whatsoever. And a lot of this stuff is pre-cooked, I promise you that. So
How far along the line, when you say pre-cooked? So you're saying this has been done way before today?
Well, I'm certainly that. Listen, there are three elements. There is the club-to-club deal, the club-to-player deal, and the agent deal. In reverse order, I think the agent deal and the player deal would have been done quite a long time ago, and it would appear the club-to-club deal got agreed today.
Months, weeks,
and that's
last season.
I don't know, but I think this deal has had a very, very long gestation period.
As Bayer Leverkusen manager.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
Would you take him back?
No, I wouldn't. That makes it 3 former Man United managers sacked in the last week. Solskjaer, of course, sacked. Eric Ten Hag and Jose was sacked recently as well. Did you see, by the way, see the video of Jose waiting at the airport?
No.
People driving him mad.
Were they?
Yeah, just cameras in his face. And there was one bloke who was just filming him, just sat there, just minding his own business, just sat there. Anyway. What did you make of Man United's performance at the weekend against Burnley? Because...
very Manchester United.
On paper, it looked good because we had a lot of possession, we had a lot of shots, but ultimately we got all 3 points, but only just, right? Added on time penalty.
Yeah, again, just like the Arsenal result, first game of the season, doesn't really matter how. The main thing is you won. It weren't like the Grimsby one where you dominated the game and then all of a sudden you end up getting beat. You won the game, so that's a positive. Still vulnerable. I mean, the goals that you can see are far too easy.
So bad at the back.
So bad. A couple of questionable decisions as well in the game.
What?
Was it outside? Was it inside?
What? Was what outside?
No, these
Shirt pull?
No, these are what I'm hearing.
Sorry, have you seen it?
I've seen it.
Well, it's not even a debate.
Probably debatable. But
no. He's holding his shirt in the area.
It's a penalty.
Right, okay.
It's a penalty.
I did think the Mason Mount one was a penalty as well.
Oh, okay. But
did you not?
Weren't sure.
I thought it's coming together.
Yes,
Could have
right.
gone either way.
I just think Man United, right? You've got to build on that. But I mean, Burnley ran you close.
Yeah, that's the worry, right?
Ran you, but then I don't think they're a foregone conclusion to go down. I really don't.
We don't know who is at the moment.
At the minute, because everyone's all over the place.
Yeah.
But the main thing is you won. You didn't look anywhere near as impressive as I thought against. At the end of the day, you did what you did. You did what you needed to do. People are not going to judge Manchester United on the games against Burnley and that. Do you know what I mean? Because you should be winning them. It's when you come up against better opposition is where we're going to see.
Not starting, and even when we need a striker, Zirkzee come on.
Yeah, I don't quite know what's going on there with Šeško because
I don't know how true this is a rumour. I heard a rumour that Šeško wasn't a buy of Ruben Amorim.
Yeah, potentially, but he's a striker. You've got one in there, use him. But the problem is you've got too many players for them 3 roles, effectively.
Yeah.
But I still thought you'd have him as the striker,
of course,
Mbeumo and Cunha as the 10s.
That makes sense, right?
But for whatever reason, maybe
that's
Ruben
too
Amorim's
narrow.
You don't play with width.
No, I know. I'm saying that's the problem we've got.
But I just don't think maybe Ruben Amorim trusts Šeško yet. He's a good player. You don't get me wrong. See, you look at some of his goals, mate. Incredible.
Yeah, I thought Mason Mount had a good game. Really good game.
I like Mason Mount though.
Mm.
But again, you've got so many players that can play 10. That's your problem, getting them all in.
I know. United fans, you can have your say if you want by picking up the phone 03717223344. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll know that behind me there's a big clock ticking down to that transfer window closes. Currently 2 hours, 14 minutes and 51 seconds to go. When we come back, more updates from Crookie.
I'm amazed no one's coming for Nicholas Jackson.
Really?
I honestly, how Newcastle have not gone after him, I do not know. You know, they've gone and bought the lad from Germany who we don't. I don't know what's going to happen. I've never really seen him play. He's never played in the Premier League. Different game. You're buying someone, Nicholas Jackson. He's a handful. He's a handful. He made Palmer as good as Palmer made him, in my opinion. They worked as a pair. He made runs. He found him. He made space. Aston Villa don't look like scoring a goal for toffee. You know, there's deals to be done. I'm flabbergasted. This lad has not gone anywhere. In this day and age, if this was a few years back, they'd have gone get home and he'd have gone, I'm coming. Now they're like, I ain't coming back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's the way it is, and it's changed. But I think he's a bit rough, but I'm shocked that he's not gone anywhere else. Don't get me wrong, he's got a lovely move to Bayern Munich, amazing club, but everybody wants to play in the Premier League.
As Bayer Leverkusen manager.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
We're taking him back?
No, I wouldn't. That makes it 3 former Man United managers sacked in the last week. Solskjaer, of course, sacked. Eric Ten Hag and Jose was sacked recently as well. Did you see, by the way, see the video of Jose waiting at the airport?
No.
They were driving him mad.
Were they?
Yeah, just cameras in his face. And there was one bloke who was just filming him, just sat there, just minding his own business, just sat there. Anyway, what did you make of Man United's performance at the weekend against Burnley? Because
very Manchester United.
On paper, it looked good because we had a lot of possession, we had a lot of shots, but ultimately we got all 3 points, but only just, right? Added on time.
Yeah, again, just like the Arsenal result first game of the season, it doesn't really matter how. The main thing is you weren't like the Grimsby one where you dominated the game and then all of a sudden end up getting beat. You won the game, so that's a positive. Still vulnerable. I mean, the goals that you can see are far too easy.
At the back.
So bad. A couple of questionable decisions as well in the game.
What?
Was it outside? Was it inside?
What? Was what outside?
These are amazing.
Sorry, have you seen it?
I've seen it.
It's not even a debate. No. He's holding his shirt in the air. It's a penalty. Right.
It's a penalty.
I did think the Mason Mount one was a penalty as well.
But
Did you not?
quite sure.
I can't put together this right either way.
I just think that Man United, right, you've got to build on that. But I mean, Burnley run you close.
Yeah, that's the worry, right?
I don't think you're a foregone conclusion to go down. I really don't.
We don't know who it is.
No, at the minute, because everyone's all over the place. But the main thing is you won. You didn't look anywhere near as impressive as I thought against. At the end of the day, you did what you did. You did what you needed to do. People are not going to judge Manchester United on the games against Burnley and that. Do you know what I mean? Because you should be winning them. It's when you come up against better opposition. Is where we're going to see.
Shesko not starting, and even when we need a striker, Zirkzee come on.
Yeah, I don't quite know what's going on there with Shesko. Because
I don't know how true this is a rumour. I heard a rumour that Shesko wasn't a buy of Ruben Amorim.
yeah, potentially, but he's a striker. You've got one in there. Use him. But
Yeah,
the
I
problem
agree
is you've
with
got too many players for them 3 roles, effectively.
Yeah.
But I still thought you'd have him as the striker,
Of course.
Buemo and Cunha as the 10s.
That makes sense, right?
But for whatever reason, maybe
That's
Ruben
too
Amorim's-
narrow.
You don't play with width.
No, I know. I'm saying that's the problem we've got.
But I just don't think maybe Ruben Amorim trusts Shesko yet. He's a good player. Yeah, you see, look at some of his goals, mate. Incredible.
Yeah, I thought Mason Mount had a good game. Really good.
Like, you've got so many players that can play 10. That's your problem, getting them all in.
You know, if you have your save, you want by picking up the phone 0377 If you're watching on YouTube, you'll know that behind me there's a big clock ticking down to that
I'm amazed no one's coming for Nicholas Jackson.
Really?
I honestly, how Newcastle have not gone after him, I do not know. You know, they've gone and bought a lad from Germany who we don't. I don't know what's going to happen. I've never really seen him play. Never played in the Premier League. Different game. You're buying someone, Nicholas Jackson. He's a handful. He's a handful. He made Palmer as good as Palmer made him, in my opinion. They worked as a pair. He made runs. He found him. He made space. Aston Villa don't look like scoring a goal for toffee. You know, there's deals to be done. I'm flabbergasted this lad has not gone anywhere. In this day and age, if this was a few years back, they'd have gone get home and they'd have gone, I'm coming. Now they're like, I ain't coming back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the way it is, and it's changed. But I think he's a bit rough, but I'm shocked that he's not gone anywhere else. Don't get me wrong, he's got a lovely move to Bayern Munich, amazing club, but everybody wants to play in the Premier League.
Bayer Leverkusen manager. Yeah. That's mind-blowing.
We're taking him back.
No, that makes it 3 former Man United managers sacked in the last week. Solskjaer, of course, sacked. Eric Ten Hag and Jose was sacked recently as well. Did you see, by the way, the video of Jose waiting at the airport? They were driving him mad.
Were they?
Yeah, just cameras in his face. And there was one bloke who was just filming him, just sat there, just minding his own business, just sat there. Anyway, what did you make of Man United's performance at the weekend against Burnley? Because very Manchester United.
You know who should be their number one? Heaton should be their number one. Because
I think right now, Tom Heaton
100%,
takes it.
I've seen the other two play. They come out, they can't catch the ball. You make the defence nervy. That's my opinion. If you've got a goalkeeper like, and I know people will look at me, but I think why not give Heaton a chance? The other two goalkeepers make the defence so nervous. Obviously, the new goalie they've just signed now, we don't know much about him, but Dorsey's right. It's a big step coming to the Premier League. You are playing for Man United Football Club. I don't know for the life of me why Man United haven't gone and tried and get Martinez. You pay what you want to get Emi Martinez. He's a fantastic goalkeeper. They haven't. And they have a big issue with their goalkeeper situation. Hopefully the new signing they've made improves them, because you need that. You're only as good as your last line of defence.
Would you have gone for Donnarumma or Martinez? As in Martinez 33, Donnarumma is, what, 26, 27?
I would have gone to Donnarumma.
I would have done personally.
But you have to say as well, at the same time, Donnarumma's obviously leaving PSG on a ridiculous wage structure that he'll have.
Yeah.
Then you've also got the thing of Man City are after you. Yeah. So if you're then the player and you're hearing Man City want you or Manchester United, you look at the two teams now, you're up against it. Chris, my question for you would be, you've now essentially, I mean, Clinton wants Heaton in goal, so then you've got 4 options. You've got
What's
4
Van der
options.
Sar doing? Is he still...
Well, my thing is, I know goalkeepers' union is a massive thing, and, you know, they're trained together, they're a big group. Is that an issue, though? You've basically got 4 number ones?
No, because Manchester United, even when you go back to Schmeichel, they messed around with a goalkeeper scenario, and then they got Van der Sar, and then there was a period of time where there was an issue. Top teams need top goalkeepers. It's not a position in the pitch that you can mess around with. It's your number 9's always your important one. The most important, your goalkeeper second. You know, for me, you look at project players that Man United have bought in the past, even the goalkeeper. That would have been a top goalkeeper. Just go and pay the money to get, you know, somebody who, I mean, Martinez at Aston Villa, he rubs some people up the wrong way, but I don't mind it. He's got a cockiness and arrogance about him. He knows he's a good goalkeeper. Would they have been suited for Manchester United? Yes, because looking at them, there's a lack of characters. And Clinton's right for once. You know, the goalkeeper. There is a nervousness around the back line.
Yeah.
You know, whoever plays. So, you know, for me, it is a position that is a real worry for Manchester United, and has been since David De Gea left.
You don't know what they don't know what they've done putting me and him together.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're literally we're half an hour in and it's already begun.
Yeah.
It's great, it's great, it's great. Listening to the guys there and hearing what they're saying, was it a case of, for Manchester United right now, they're at a position where every time it comes in for a cross or anything around the goalkeeper, they're worried? Was experience what was needed in this moment?
Yeah, I think experience, I think character as well, and I think Martinez would have just gone in there and he has that real sort of, not really bothered. You know, it's a massive club. There's going to be so much scrutiny on him. He'd be able to take that. And I think you're bringing in, you know, Lamans, who's 23 years old. He's had one season, hasn't he, where we've saw that, yes, he looks like a goalkeeper with lots of potential, but you feel like he'd maybe be better learning from someone like a Martinez, like a Donnarumma, because at the moment, Onana's clearly fell down the pecking order. Bayern does look shaky. And you look at this Manchester United team and you go, well, they've strengthened in an attacking sense, which is obviously what they needed to do. They need to add goals and creativity. Goalkeeper situation still needed resolving, and I also think the midfield area in terms of some legs in there. So yeah, you hope that it works out for him, but I just think it's a huge position for a young goalkeeper to come in and be that real character that's needed to be Manchester United's number 1.
Absolutely. Plenty more to come from these 4. The 7 p.m. deadline is looming. Emma, what's the latest with a Chelsea departure?
Yeah, this has been an interesting story, hasn't it, over the last few days? But Nicholas Jackson has finally got his move to Bayern Munich, with a deal agreed now for the Chelsea striker on loan. Our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solokul, has more. Kaveh, on the face of it, this looks like a good deal for Chelsea, is it?
Yes, I think it is. And the moral of this story is, if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. Nicholas Jackson flew into Munich on Saturday morning, and he liked it so much he didn't want to leave. Even when he got a phone call from Chelsea saying, Nicholas, come back to London. You're a Chelsea player. Your loan is cancelled. We need you back because Liam Delap is injured. Nicholas Jackson wouldn't take no for an answer. Chelsea said, come back. His representative said, hang on a minute, let's see if we can sort something out with Bayern Munich. And they have been able to thrash out a deal. Now, the sticking point was that Bayern Munich always wanted him on loan with just an option. So basically what they wanted to do is have a look at Nicholas Jackson, and if he did really, really well, they'd say, OK, we're going to keep him next summer. But what Chelsea wanted after Liam Delap was injured was a permanent move or an obligation to sign him next summer. And I think now they've got an element of an obligation in the deal that they've agreed. And the deal is a £14 million loan fee. Bayern Munich are just paying £14 million just to take him on loan. That is £1 million more than previously agreed. The obligation, contingent, I think, on the number of appearances he makes, the obligation fee is £56 million next summer. If you add all that up, it is a package that is potentially worth £70 million to Chelsea. That is, if he goes there, plays well, plays lots of games, and this obligation clause is triggered, then I think it will be a very, very good deal for Chelsea, because Chelsea valued him at £70 million.
Wow, it sounds like a good one for sure. Just before you go, I want to ask you about another big sale from Chelsea to Fulham today. What do we know about that?
Yeah, Tyreek George, 19-year-old winger, he has moved to Fulham. I think he's having a medical now. This is a deal worth £22 million. RB Leipzig were interested in signing him. He's going to sign a 5-year deal with Fulham. He came on as a substitute for Liam Delap here on Saturday, was then substituted himself in the second half. Of course, Chelsea have signed a couple of wingers this summer, like Jamie Gittins and Alejandro Garnacho, so they were willing to sell Tyreek George, and that's exactly what they've done.
Carve, thank you. Now, Aston Villa could be big late movers. Rob Jones can tell us more about their deadline day. Rob, good to see you. Where are Villa at on making some late additions?
Evening, Emma. Yeah, 1 down, 2 to go in terms of additions for Aston Villa on deadline day. They confirmed the arrival of Victor Lindelof as a free agent a little bit earlier on today to add competition for places in central defence alongside Ezri Konsa, Pau Torres and Tyrone Mings. They had Axel Disasi on loan from Chelsea in the second half of last season. He has gone back to Stamford Bridge, so Lindelof comes in to fill that void. There are 2 other players just currently in various stages of their medicals, 2 attackers with Premier League experience. One of those who's Harvey Elliott, just a slight bit behind Jadon Sancho. Elliott with a loan, an obligation to buy next season for £35 million. Someone who had a little bit of an impact as Liverpool won the Premier League title last season, but Arne Slot was at pains to say a number of times throughout the course of that successful campaign he would like to have given Elliott more opportunities to play first-team football. Well, those opportunities will only have decreased with the arrival of Hugo Ekitike, Florian Wirtz and now Alexander Isak. That's this summer. Aston Villa had a Manchester United player on loan for the second half of last season in Marcus Rashford. They are replacing him with Jadon Sancho. That is a loan. Villa will be paying a fee on that loan and 80% of Jadon Sancho's wages as well. He spent the second part, all of last season, in fact, with Chelsea, 3 goals and 4 assists in the Premier League, but Chelsea ended up paying a fee to send him back to Manchester United. He has been training away from the first-team squad throughout the course of this summer, and it now looks as though Villa have moved late to add him to their attacking options since the end of last season. Both Rashford and Marco Asensio have gone back from their respective loans. Leon Bailey and Jacob Ramsey have both gone out of the club as well. But Villa have had to do things on the cheap a little bit because of the fine they received from UEFA earlier on in the summer, needing to comply to their rules of losing no more than £60 million over 3 years. They have been asked to make a profit on player sales this summer. So these 3 deadline day arrivals, 2 loans, 1 with an obligation and a free transfer as well.
Yeah, late additions, but needed additions. Rob, I want to ask you as well about Emi Martinez. What's happening with their goalkeeper?
Well, it looks as though their goalkeeper is staying despite not playing in that 3-0 defeat to Crystal Palace here yesterday evening. I think the first point that Aston Villa would make about Emi Martinez is they've yet to receive an actual bid for the Argentinian World Cup winner. It was interesting to hear the panel speaking a few moments or so ago about the interest from Manchester United. It was interest, there was no bid, and eventually they went down a different route in signing Senna Lammens. He's been linked over the course of today, in particular with Galatasaray, but it seems as though Martinez will be staying here at Villa. I think it was widely accepted or believed within the club towards the end of last season and throughout the summer that Martinez did want to leave. You might remember those emotional scenes in the final home game that Villa played last season against Tottenham, where he did a bit of a lap of honour and was in tears and looked very emotional, as if to suggest that it would be his final home game for the club. He still hasn't played here at home this season because he's missed one with suspension, missed the other one last night. But as the window looks set to close, it does seem as though Martinez will continue to be an Aston Villa player moving forward.
Busy day for you, Rob. Thank you. All right, coming up next, we are off to Tottenham Hotspur as they close in on making a signing from Paris Saint-Germain.
Sky Mobile sponsors the transfer window on Sky Sports News.
People say it takes a village to raise a child. Just like covering up the previous owner's burnt orange takes all the hands and a plumber provided by Allianz. And when plans change, it takes grand
until the window closes at 7 o'clock this evening. Well, Alexander Isak's move from Newcastle to Liverpool is edging ever closer. Isak has, of course, been pushing for it, and late last night, well, the clubs agreed a fee of £125 million. We are awaiting confirmation of this British record move. Well, the striker arrived at Liverpool's training ground on Monday morning for his medical, with the Sweden head coach John Dahl Tomasson confirming that he expects the player to then team up with the national team later this evening. Well, the other half of the Isak deal is, of course, Yoane Wissa's £55 million move to Newcastle from Brentford. Well, Wissa has been one of Newcastle's main targets this summer, and he's agreed a 4-year contract. Well, here are exclusive shots of him arriving for his medical, which has now been completed. A reminder for you as well, there will be a special Back Pages tonight at 10 o'clock here on Sky Sports News, as Miguel Delaney, John Cross and Jonathan Liu all come into the studio for an hour-long edition. Yeah, looking forward to that. There will be plenty to talk about, no doubt. For now, though, let's talk about Tottenham Hotspur, who have had some frustrations in this transfer window, missing out on Morgan Gibbs-White and Ibiri Eze. But they've been busy on deadline day. Michael Bridge is at the training ground for us. Michael, oh, he's got the brolly out. He's having problems by the looks of things. Hello, you are live. Tell us about Tottenham looking to sign another forward.
Do you know what? Every time I put my umbrella up, then the sun comes out again. Well, do you know what? The sun might be shining on Tottenham's forwards, because Kolo Muani on his way from PSG on a season-long loan. He's very highly regarded in Europe. He impressed a Juve last January, and it will be a really big loan deal for Spurs, and adding real quality to Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank's forward line. Now, Thomas Frank has been very precise on this over the weekend. I only want to bring players that will improve the side. And I think that's what Spurs have done so far in terms of Mohamed Kudus. Absolutely brilliant. João Paulinho, I'm a big fan of João Paulinho. And Xavi Simons arriving over the weekend as well. And if Spurs can get Randall Kolo Muani through the door as well, I think they'll be very, very happy indeed. I know they wanted a winger in Savinho as well. That's not going to be happening today. Thomas Frank said he probably doesn't need a defender at the moment either. So we'll just wait and see if that is Tottenham's business done. They need some outgoings as well. But I tell you what, the weather up and down, up and down. But we had a lovely, lovely rainbow earlier. It's been a real day of ups and downs in terms of the weather. But if you want the rainbow, you've got to put up with the rain. Eh? Joe said that? Dolly Parton. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm here till the bitter end, and hopefully Spurs can get an announcement over the next few hours.
Oh, Bridgie, thank you.
Other than Kolo Muani, all I got from that was Dolly Parton and that Bridgie might need an umbrella before the deadline tonight.
Yeah, it's all over the shop.
Yeah.
Man, it's all over the shop.
Michael, look, do you think Tottenham, over the course of this summer, have they made some good signings? Has their business been all right?
Yeah, I echo what Bridgie says there. I think Spurs will be delighted with the transfer window. You know, it's took a little bit longer, missed out on a couple of players, but I think Simmons coming in at the weekend. Muani now looks like it'll get done. Paulinho coming in. Kudos for me, that happened early on, and I think that's a brilliant signing. You know, the first two games very, very good. Wasn't so great at the weekend, but you've got to look longevity. They're in the Champions League. They need to build a squad that's capable to compete in both the Premier League and the Champions League, and that's a challenge. We've seen it times before with Newcastle. We saw it with Aston Villa, that to combine big competitions and to be at them level all the time can be challenging. But I think the players that have come in, they'll certainly be very happy.
Okay, well, next we've got some fascinating deadline day developments involving Crystal Palace, Brighton and Mark Guehi's move to Liverpool.
Sky Mobile sponsors the transfer window on Sky Sports News. Amazon has increased funding for employees to £3,000 a year, every year, for career development. Providing you with valuable skills for work and home.
Fancy new razor? Arriving today with Amazon Prime. That's off your mind? So now you can worry if you're slowly turning into your dad.
Latte, please.
Now, imagine a place for your money where you're in control. Want to take it overseas? Go ahead. Down here, you can see the bigger picture. Imagine all that money possibility in your pocket. Revolut.
Now we're heading towards autumn. £500 are coming pretty handy, wouldn't it? If you part exchange or sell your car or van to us throughout the whole of September, we'll give you an extra £500 on top of the deal you've already been offered, which could help pay towards your budding rockstar. Lots of lovely chocolates, a splendid choice of beds for a rather indecisive dog, or even towards your next car. Ends the 30th of September. We are Virtue.
Hey Sainsbury's, usual big shop. Can you save me a few quid?
Well, Wayne, try your Nectar prices.
My what?
Your Nectar prices. In your Nectar app, you'll find personalised discounts on up to 10 things you love. It's personalised to you, Wayne. Too personalised?
Yeah, just a touch.
Agreed. We'll stick to prices. Save every week with your Nectar prices. Sainsbury's. Good food for all of us.
John, what?
This bomb.
Can't maybe use to kill people.
My name is Ned Sampson. I'm so happy to be finally here as new editor-in-chief. Remember the 5 W's.
Is that a gang?
It's who, what, when, where, why.
So not a gang.
Future of journalism, meet present of journalism.
You do not need to be intimidated by us. No question is too stupid.
Do you think an over-reliance on anonymous sources damages public trust?
Who wants to take this one? I feel like I'm monopolizing the conversation.
Sky Mobile sponsors the transfer window on Sky Sports News.
Right, we have some breaking news to bring you regarding Manchester City. We understand that Manchester City have a deal in place with Paris Saint-Germain for Gianluigi Donnarumma, and crucially, they have now got an agreement in place, in principle, on personal terms. City now finalising a deal with Fenerbahce for the sale of Ederson. City basically need an assurance of the Ederson deal before they can complete the deal on Gianluigi Donnarumma. Time, as you can see, is very much running out, but we understand there is cautious optimism that the deals for both can be agreed. A reminder, of course, that the Turkish window actually closes on September the 11th. But some breaking news here on deadline day, with just over an hour until the window closes. Manchester City have a deal in place with PSG for Donnarumma, and crucially now have an agreement in principle on personal terms as well. Right, now let's go to a transfer that could have huge ramifications for one of the biggest stories this window. Chris Reedy is at West Ham for us. He can tell us why West Ham are maybe scuppering Liverpool's move for Mark Guehi. Chris, tell us more.
Yeah, look, it's been a bit of a theme of this transfer window, hasn't it? London teams nicking players of other London teams, and that looks like what's happened today with West Ham and Crystal Palace. Igor Julio was undertaking a medical there, well, at Crystal Palace this afternoon. That deal's fallen through, and it looks like he's on his way to West Ham. But let me give you why this is a deal that suits West Ham. Ever since Naya Aguerd was out of the squad yesterday against Nottingham Forest, they've been in the market for a centre-half. It looks like Aguerd, well, he is going to Marseille for a fee of around £17 million. And ever since then, like I said, West Ham need a centre-half. Charlie Cresswell was something they tried to get over the line. That deal from Toulouse didn't quite come off. Bright Ariton B from Braga as well, German under-21 international, was someone else they were interested in. But it looks like Igor Julio might be the player they want. Well, he is the player they want, but it looks like he's on his way to the London Stadium for his potential second medical of the day. He's Brighton's fifth-choice centre-back, so he looks like he wants the minutes, and he couldn't quite get them, it seems, at Crystal Palace, with them looking to bring in more than one defender to replace Mark Guehi.
Chris, thank you. Right, James Savundra is actually at Crystal Palace for us to get the other half of this story. James, if Igor Julio doesn't go to Palace, I mean, what does it mean for Mark Guehi?
Hi there, Emma. Good to see you. As far as we're concerned right now, the deal is still on for Mark Guehi to join Liverpool. That's despite us being told throughout this transfer window that Mark Guehi would only be allowed to depart Crystal Palace if they had lined up a suitable replacement. And as things stand, with just over an hour to go until the deadline, it's unclear whether or not Crystal Palace have that replacement. We know they're tying up a deal for JD Camvo to sign from Toulouse, but he's just 19 years of age. He's not Premier League ready yet, and that's what Olo Glasner needs, a Premier League ready replacement. We know they've been looking at a number of different options throughout this transfer window, and today Igor Julio looks like he's going to West Ham, one player they've had their eye on for a long period of time. We're not sure whether or not they've made a breakthrough when it comes to discussions on the AC Milan centre-back Strahinja Pavlovic. He's the man that Oliver Glasner wants to replace Mark Guehi, but whether or not AC Milan let him go, that's another thing altogether, because we know AC Milan are looking for centre-backs themselves. They've tried to sign Joe Gomez, they've tried to sign Manuel Akanji as well. So you can understand why Crystal Palace fans are feeling rather concerned right now, and a penny for their thoughts of Oliver Glasner.
Yeah, penny for their thoughts indeed. Clinton Morrison tells us he's got some inside info. We're going to bring you that after the break. Plenty more on Mark Guehi's potential move to Liverpool. Will it get done before the deadline? The window closes in just over an hour at 7 o'clock this evening.
Sky Mobile sponsors the transfer window on Sky Sports News.
No early morning train for Natalie. She booked a Premier Inn just down the road from her big meeting, meaning she can have a bit of a lie-in. Get better sleep for your money. Book your next work stay at Premier Inn.
Choosing EE Broadband. Switch to the UK's fastest growing broadband provider.
Fancy new razor? Arriving today with Amazon Prime. That's off your mind? So now you can worry if you're slowly turning into your dad.
How do we choose?
I know. Gemini, my skin's dry but sticky from the heat. What here could help?
Tough combo. I see some serums which hydrate without being too heavy.
What do the Korean locals use?
Essence is like a light serum that's popular here.
Which one?
Now this is legit.
When life plays dirty, water wipes. Water wipes. Pure, clean, happy skin.
Latte, please.
Now, imagine a place for your money where you're in control. Want to take it overseas? Go ahead. Down here, you can see the bigger picture. Imagine all that money possibility in your pocket. Revolut.
LV have always made it simple for me to get great value car insurance.
So I can get their cover from just £349.
And if I'm hit by an uninsured driver, I won't lose my no-claim discount.
Because insurance is simple when it's me and LV. Get your car insurance quote today. Go direct to lv.com.
What do we see when we think of the West?
American West conjures wonder, possibility.
The West is a place where anything is possible. It is the essence of the American dream.
Native people have been wiped out. They have been killed off.
The West has a power like nowhere else. A land that shows us bounty, yet all too often gives us blood.
Kevin Costner's The West starts Monday, 15th of September at 9 on Sky History.
That's a good ball. Of course it's Carr!
Sky Mobile sponsors the transfer window on Sky Sports News.
Welcome back. This is deadline day and we are now into the final hour of the big show. We're all waiting to see which deals get done in the final throes of it all. But one man is dominating the day, the way he's dominated the past 6 weeks. Yes, Alexander Isak is on the verge of becoming a Liverpool player, and for a record British transfer fee at that. We'll get the latest as he completes his formalities. His move means Johan Wissa is finally able to get his wish of leaving Brentford and joining Newcastle, and the money merry-go-round means Eddie Howe has now spent the full Isak fee on 2 forwards in the space of just a couple of days.
Yeah, the strikers are grabbing the headlines, aren't they? But in their blockbusting window, Liverpool are adding quality at the back as well. Mark Guehi is the latest addition on his way to Anfield. But despite a medical, well, it's not done yet. Could there be a sting in the tail with this deal? The next hour will tell us all. And Crystal Palace's hopes of replacing Guehi could hold the key to this saga. We'll look at their last-minute options as the club seeks to avoid leaving Oliver Glasner light on players. Well, Manchester City always seem to pull something out the bag, don't they? And the best goalkeeper in the world looks to be on his way to them. A big development on the deal for Gianluigi Donnarumma in the last few moments. That's on the way for you as well. And no window is complete without Chelsea doing plenty of business. A huge sale looks to be in the bag tonight. Nicholas Jackson, he's been through the mill, hasn't he, over this one? Can he get his on-off switch to Bayern Munich done? We are going to find out very soon indeed. Right, but we start with the story of the summer. Alexander Isak's move from Newcastle to Liverpool is edging ever closer. Isak has been pushing for it, hasn't he? And late last night, well, the clubs agreed a fee. So let's cross live now to Liverpool's training ground and join Vinny O'Connor. Vinny, how close are we to getting this deal wrapped up?
Emma, I don't think we're too far away. The reason I say that is because Liverpool have been really hospitable all day, but a while ago we were asked to stay out of the building, keep out of reception, stay in the car park. That's because Alexander Isak has been over this side of the building to do the photographs, to do the in-house media interviews, etc., all ahead of that announcement that confirms he is a British record signing for £125 million, signing, of course, from Newcastle United, putting pen to paper on a 6-year contract with Liverpool. So, as I say, we still await that official announcement now. Obviously, his arrival is another attacking option in, which has enabled Harvey Elliott to move out of the door, progress his career and seal that potential move to Aston Villa, of course. But the fact is that on this deadline day, Liverpool are set to splash out another £125 million. This time, it's going to be on Alexander Isak, and it will bring to an end the saga of the transfer window, really.
Yeah, the soap opera of the transfer window. What about Mark Guehi then? It feels like this has maybe taken another twist and turn, Vinny.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, this. What we know is that a £35 million deal has been agreed between Liverpool and Crystal Palace, to the extent where Mark Guehi has been given permission to undergo a medical. That medical is taking place down in London. Liverpool had pre-arranged that because it made sense, because as that deal dragged on a little bit, shall we say, then there was that worry that they wouldn't make the 7 o'clock deadline. So to get everything in place, it was easier to get the medical done down in London. Of course, Liverpool have club offices down in London as well. At the same time, the caveat to any potential move for Mark Guehi was that Crystal Palace get in adequate replacements. It seems that in Igor Julio, they thought they were going to get that in, but that deal has obviously collapsed. Now, we're not told that Crystal Palace have told Mark Guehi to come back, to forget about that medical. At the same time, there is the possibility that could still happen. But as far as we're concerned, there's been no notice from Crystal Palace that the deal is off. Certainly, we're not getting the impression from Liverpool that a deal is off at the moment. So as far as we're concerned, there is still the progression as regards Mark Guehi joining Liverpool, but we're waiting full confirmation on that. What I can tell you, though, is that Joe Gomez remains a Liverpool player. It's unlikely now that he's going to be leaving. There was that deal on the table, of course, from AC Milan, but I think there was an acceptance among all parties really concerned with that was not going to happen. They weren't going to get that deal done in time, so he's staying where he is. Of course, there had been interest from Crystal Palace, and as we know, they are looking for a centre-half, but for the moment, Joe Gomez remains here, and Liverpool will still be hopeful that they will get Mark Guehi over the line as well, which would take their total spending in this transfer window to over £480 million, a net spend of over £250 million. And of course, on this transfer deadline day, it would mean that Liverpool is shelling out £160 million.
Wowza. Vinny, thank you. Right, we are going to stay talking about Mark Guehi. Vinny saying there that Liverpool's still hopeful this is going to happen. Rob, we're feeling that there might be a knock-on effect now with Crystal Palace, with West Ham coming in as well. Talk us through all the kind of moving parts here.
Emma, it's a really complex situation, but it's a fascinating situation, but it's a really difficult one for Crystal Palace. I'm told categorically from 2 separate sources that Crystal Palace will still allow Mark Guehi to leave for Liverpool despite the collapse of this deal to sign Igor Julio. Now, there's some conjecture about that. Other people are reporting different things. I can only tell you what I'm being told. And the reason I'm being told that is that it's been explained to me Crystal Palace's owners and the bosses will not allow Mark Guehi to leave for nothing next summer. It's pretty clear he doesn't want to sign a new contract. He's in the final year of his existing deal. There is a £35 million fee on the table, which Crystal Palace don't want to walk away from. Nevertheless, they have a real problem now in getting a replacement in. We've been told all window long that Crystal Palace would only allow Guehi to leave if they had a replacement in the door. That has now failed because Igor Julio is going to West Ham instead of Crystal Palace. He's left Crystal Palace's training ground, having completed a medical, and he's now heading to West Ham to complete a medical and complete a loan deal there. Now, different people are saying it was Igor who pulled out of that because he didn't think he was going to get enough game time. Some have said to me that Palace pulled out of that deal with Igor because they didn't think he was fit enough, having missed so much football in the last 6 months or so. The wheres and wherefores of that will probably be unpicked or never known. But the fact of the matter is Palace are struggling to find a replacement for Mark Guehi. They are looking at Pavlovic, the AC Milan centre-back. They've had a long-term interest in him, but can they get that over the line? Can they persuade AC Milan to let him go when they're hunting a centre-back of their own? All of these questions to come and to be resolved with 52 minutes left. It's extraordinary that Palace are in this situation. Yeah. It may have a huge impact on Oliver Glasner and his relationship with the club because we know he is quite angry. He's spoken out against the club yesterday, saying that he hasn't got the resources and he thinks he's not being backed in the transfer market. If Mark Guehi leaves and they don't get a replacement in the centre-back, he will be furious.
Yeah.
And that will be a difficult situation for Palace to manage. But an awful lot can happen in those 52 minutes. Crystal Palace fans hope to God that it does happen.
It doesn't seem like long, does it? 52 minutes.
But I think that you have to bear in mind that clubs do a lot of work in the background on players and they don't necessarily follow deals through. They're not trying to do somebody they never spoke to or they've never approached in the next 51 minutes and 49 seconds. Yeah. It will be players they know of that they've talked about that are potentially available that they're trying to get over the line. But can they get it over the line? That's the key question.
Yeah, busy 51 minutes for Crystal Palace and for you as well. Rob, thank you.
There was almost like a gasp from this table that this one is going up and down. Clinton, I've got to come to Mark Guehi. What is the best situation for Palace here? Because it is that situation. Do they get the fee for him or do they keep him?
The best situation for the fans and the players would be to keep Mark Guehi, but you've got to understand it's a business. It's the chairman's and it's the chairman's business. And at the end of the day, you can't expect a player of his quality to leave on a free transfer. You can't let him do it in the summer. I would have loved for Mark Guehi to stay, but 35 million, I think, and to go to Liverpool, who I do think fantastic football club, is he's only going to progress his football career. But I don't know, unless Palace get a replacement, if they can afford to let Mark Guehi go. They can't, because they have a problem. They have a problem with not replacing him, and also they have a problem with Oliver Glasner, because we've all heard how much Oliver Glasner wanted to keep Mark Guehi. So if you lose your best centre-half in the back three that's been fantastic, and you don't bring any defender in, Palace are in trouble at the back. And that's not being disrespectful to the other defenders in there. He is the key person today. So I heard what everyone's saying, but I think at the moment, if they don't get a replacement, Mark Guehi could end up staying there. I don't know that for sure, but that's what my reckoning is.
Go on, Chris. Go on.
So if Guehi ends up going, do you fear for Glasner as well?
Yeah, of course I feel fear for Glasner, because you saw it that the club couldn't afford to lose him. But I understand what the chairman's saying. At the end of the day, it's a business. I can't afford to let him go on a free. They need to bring in not one, two centre-backs to replace Mark Guehi. And even then, I don't think you can replace Mark Guehi. But at the same time, you've got to look at it as like, the club are looking after themselves by saying they can't go on a free. Mark Guehi probably wants to go to Liverpool, one of the best clubs out there, so they shouldn't try and stop his deal. But this is what happens on transfer deadline.
Exactly.
This is why we love it.
Well, that was one of the main things that we wanted to hear from Glasner. Got his take on Guehi here.
We have an agreement that we just selling Mark if we have the right replacement in. Yeah, and we wanted to have this replacement at the beginning of the season. Of the pre-season, to be independent from this situation. This was the 9th of July. Today was 31st of August. There's no replacement in the building. So that it's clear one part of the agreement is not fulfilled. That means we can't sell Mark.
You know what, bro? Everything he's saying is spot on. But you know what? And Dorsch just made a good point. I don't know how it's got this far down. Surely you know Mark Guehi's eventually going to go, and he's refused to sign contracts. They've thrown loads of contracts at him. He ain't going to sign. Then surely you bring a centre-half, like he said, in pre-season, so he can work with him and buy into what Glasner's doing.
Absolutely, but then it's more so if then he does go, if you do what's right for the club, and
you do, but
get
then
the fee in. Sue, I mean, how...
Thanks, Dave. Right, next, we're going to find out whether Nicholas Jackson is close to joining at Bayern Munich. Just a day after, of course, it looked like he was off.
Sky Mobile sponsors the transfer window on Sky Sports News.
Now it's free to sell on eBay. Download.
You'll see things differently now it's free. Don't even think about it. eBay. Things people love.
Shredded wheat is just one single ingredient. High fibre, whole grain wheat. Simple. Rudy invents this stuff. Not simple. We'll stick to the simple stuff. Shredded wheat. It simply does it.
If your friend asks you a question and the answer's on your phone, answer.
will be a Chelsea player tomorrow morning. He's still ambitious, and that's underlined by the fact that in the past he's passed on opportunities to play in Saudi Arabia and the United States.
Carve, thank you.
So go on then. Chris, let's talk Nicholas Jackson. I mean, the moment he must have got off that plane in Munich and then they say, no, you've got to come back to Chelsea. Yeah. How must he be feeling right now?
It's football. I mean, it can happen. You know, obviously the injury to Liam Delap at the weekend is cause for Chelsea to try and bring him back. But I mean,
they've done it now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But obviously trying to think. But I mean, the deal's obviously done now. But when you look at you're there, you've done your medical, and you just want to get it signed, don't you? I mean, Bayern Munich, huge football club. Obviously, didn't see if there was going to be any future for him at Chelsea. I'm actually surprised in a way though, because I know he might not be everyone's cup of tea, but Jackson can finish. Nicholas, yeah. He gets himself into positions, and once again, I'll say it. You know, there's not a lot of number 9s going about that can score goals, and you know, you just never know. And when you're going to need them, obviously Chelsea with Champions League football as well, so it's going to be a long season. They will fancy themselves to challenge for the Premier League as well. So I'm a little bit surprised about that one.
Yeah, Paul Merson was saying the exact same thing. Sue was surprised that more Premier League clubs didn't come in for Nicholas Jackson. Do you echo that?
Yeah, I think it's just a consistency thing with him, isn't it? You know, we've saw him, and you know, he'll score some really good goals, and then he'll obviously miss those chances, and it was just wanted to see that on a regular basis. He obviously had dropped down the pecking order with Chelsea, you know, bringing in João Pedro and Liam Delap, and then obviously with Delap getting that injury, it was then a case of, okay, we might need Jackson as another option. And we always said, like, he got himself into really good positions, used to stretch the play, which left sort of space for Cole Palmer, so you can see his attributes, but it was just about getting those consistent goals, I suppose. But yeah, I'm surprised that, you know, maybe another Premier League team didn't go in, and Mercer's watched a lot of him, and he rates him quite highly.
Yeah, Clinton, so much has been said about Todd Bowley's Chelsea since he's come in. Are you impressed with their business this summer?
Yeah, it's been good. I think you get Garnacho, you get Delap, but Dorse mentioned it earlier. João Pedro, I think, is a hell of a signing. He's hit the ground running there. So they've signed ever so well. I'm surprised, though, they haven't brought a centre-half in. I know they brought in a player who can play centre-half, but he's a third centre-half. But I got
the injury to Colwell as well, yeah.
Yeah, injury to Colwell. And that is why I don't see them as title contenders. I see them as finishing in the top 4, but I don't think they win the Premier League. Only because I think they're short on centre-half. I think the injury to Levi Colwell has kind of killed them, basically. Yeah, it has killed them, because if they had kept it, if he had stayed fit, I would have given Chelsea a great opportunity, because the business they've done and their recruitment's been outstanding.
They still have a fantastic squad. I mean, looking at that front line as well, you know, Michael, you were saying João Pedro is one of your favourite transfers of the summer. Do you put Chelsea as a title contender?
No, I think it'd be Liverpool or Arsenal. I watched them at the weekend, Chelsea against Fulham for the first half. Fulham dominated, and that's not just one game. Like, this can be a long season. You lose big players. Delap's a big miss for them, the way they play, stretching in behind. Cole Palmer, so instrumental in everything that good comes out of Chelsea. And I just wondered where the Jackson. I know when you bring 2 players in, you bring Liam Delap in, and you bring João Pedro in. How does that make you feel when you've led that number 9 all last season, and then all of a sudden you get told you can go? You're thinking, I ain't coming back. No chance. I'm signed for Bayern Munich. However, is he going to play at Bayern Munich? That's going to be the question now. You've got Harry Kane. He's going to be playing second fiddle to Harry Kane, if you ask me. So it's a little bit strange that they let that happen now. But, I mean, you make decision before one player gets injured. But Chelsea have got a big enough squad. I mean, they've got a squad longer than my arm. It's ridiculous.
That's a long arm.
It is today, because I've got a tight top on. But it's just, yeah, I mean, they're always prepared defensively. Even that we talked about there, it was Chalobah and Tosin at the weekend. Fofana's on the bench. Badia Shield, they lose Colville. I mean, someone else will come in. They just sign players after players and tend to be able to deal with these injuries.
Yeah, they've got a pretty big squad. Guys, thanks so much.
Yeah, huge squad, and Dawson's got huge arms as well, by the sounds of things. Right, let's bring you some breaking news now from the northeast. And Sunderland have agreed a deal with Ajax for Bertrand Traoré. We understand they will pay £2.5 million for the winger. It is now, with the clock very much ticking down, less than half an hour to go, a race against time to get that deal done. We also understand that Sunderland are also signing striker Brian Brobby from Ajax today as well. Right, well, sticking on the theme of strikers, next, a forward who helped Paris Saint-Germain win the Champions League could be on his way to Tottenham Hotspur.